Look, I'm mumming chance. Things are getting bleak. And like I said in the other video, when things get bleak, I go the opposite. And I usually listen to things that are the opposite of what I'm feeling. And I remember when I worked in the helicopter news division of a 24-hour cable channel, I started getting panic attacks. And I didn't realize that I got panic attacks as a kid. They classified it as separation anxiety, but now looking back, now that I've had a proper panic attack, I know as a child I had panic attacks because I was ridiculously screaming and crying and unable to breathe. And I started getting that not from flying, but from the possibility of having to fly. That my fate was not in my control. And at that time, one of the things the doctor I was seeing to work on that issue with, he said, is exercise is very important. And so I used to ride my bike. This was in our first apartment, Marissa and I had a recumbent bike because I had back issues at the time. So I got one of those strange recumbent bikes, and also because I'm kind of a nut anyway, right? And I would ride, and I remember buying the CD, listening to it on my Discman, and I would ride from our apartment complex, the back way in Deer Park, to a local park, and I would ride around the park, and I listened to this album. I remember that. I remember Marissa was riding her horse at a local stable, and I remember coming once over to see her, watch her ride, and I was listening to this album. So this album means something to me. It means those two things. And it is part of the Elephant Six Collective, but I don't know how. This has really nothing to do with the Athens scene. And this is Beulah's When Your Heartstrings Break. They've got several albums. They are all good, and I never listen to them. The lyrics, the music sounds hopeful and layered, and it was recorded with lots of musicians. Can you see that? In their recording, in their studio space, practice rehearsal space, I think it was a garage. And they just recorded it there. Actually, it says it right there, recorded in our practice space. And just like the last video, this does not have that Pet Sounds vibe because it doesn't have that stabbing organ sound, but it's got a lot of that similar instrumentation. That's a lot of instruments for an indie band recording on their own with no help. They had a movie made about them. It's like the band you've never heard or something. That's a Zappa title, but it's something like that. And the lead singer almost killed himself. He was so depressed that his band wasn't going anywhere. The documentary was good, showing the dissolving of this band, and this band should have made it bigger, and they're fantastic. The music, again, is layered, and while it's got a hopeful sound, when you listen to the lyrics, they are not, because, I mean, he talks about guns a lot. There is some suicidal imagery in it, but there are clever, funny lines in it, too, that I even now, I just noticed one of them. There was one about a party, and he's not enjoying himself, and like the chorus is, "No one cares about your hardwood floors," which is a great line. And one of the songs in here, it's got like almost a 3-minute intro, and then it finally hits. You're like, oh, this was an instrumental, and then boom, it starts coming, and it's got that summery, sound to it. I want to play samples to this album, but I'm going to make you go and search it out. I'm sure this whole album is probably on YouTube, or at least clips. So if anything I've said has interested you, I implore you to go and sample it. And like I said, all the albums are good, but this is the best and probably all you need. And if you are interested in Elephant Six at all, and didn't realize they were part of Elephant Six, then this is, and it doesn't have a, this is why I don't know why they're part of Elephant Six, because it does not have a psychedelic vibe at all. It's its own thing. I guess it's that early of Montreal, if it wasn't twee, is I guess, and yeah. So like that Neutral Milk Hotel has got that Salvation Army band sound. This is a step above that band, but it's got a little bit of that sound, but not screeching or wailing into the night like that album and band is. Beulah's When Your Heartstrings Break. I implore you, get it, or at least sample it. If I've done anything, if one of you have listened to this, let me know. Tell me what you think, because again, I doubt this ever came out on vinyl. This thing barely came out on CD. Barely. All right. Take care, everybody.